So Ben Nichols is on the podcast today. He is the owner of Bine Brewing Company, right there in downtown Palm Harbor, right at the Pinellas Trail. You've probably seen it. You probably biked by it, walked by it, driven by it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you. I've been a big fan of Bine for quite some time, probably since you guys opened. But let's start there, like when you opened and just kind of walk me through that process of like starting a brewery.
Started an idea, I think like 2015 was
Okay.
when, we thought of the idea and the concept. It was actually me and one of my best friends, childhood friend. He was in hospitality forever, and I always wanted to get into something like that. I was can't even call myself like a home brewer really, because I wasn't really any good at making beer.
So
But
you never made beer before?
I did, but
You
never
did?
commercially.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
the beers that I did make at home,
Weren't that good.
no, yeah, they weren't very good. But so came up with the idea. Him and I realized quickly that we needed to get a team around us that knew like distribution and
Okay.
brewing commercially and stuff like that. So I was pretty much a real estate guy. Vincent was doing the tap room and like office stuff, and then we hired a couple other guys to help us get it going. Um, I think I bought the building in 2015. Took about a year and a half to remodel it because I did a lot of stuff myself and building the team up and getting game plans and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
then opened 2016, March 2016. So we're going on 7 years
Okay.
that we've been open this year.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
So why did you want to open a brewery with
That
no experience?
Yeah, that was the cool thing, Joey
Yeah.
Redner, he sold Cigar City for, $500 million or whatever it was. So it's
Yeah.
like that thing everybody thought that they could open a brewery and get rich quick.
Yeah.
Not the case.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
There is no get rich quick thing,
I don't
right?
think there really is a get rich
No.
quick, no. But yeah, just started it with a team and just kind of gone from there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you so prior to opening the brewery, like what did you do before that?
Real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Investing
investing in
process.
real estate. Yep.
Yeah.
And so you had residential properties around the area. Um, what is like, did you ever picture yourself being a business owner?
Yeah. I think so. From an early age, I realized that I want to be an entrepreneur and work for myself and make
Yeah.
my own way and not work for the man.
Yeah.
Uh 2010, 2011, I think is whenever I started my investment company, LLC, and got a loan, started buying up real estate properties.
Okay.
Market crashed. Everybody was losing their houses and foreclosures and short sales, and
Yeah. And you're like, this is a good time to
this
buy.
is a perfect time to buy. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. Like example, I bought 7 condos over in Tampa, like an average like 20 grand. Sold them 6 years later for 190.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So kind of went from there and did it like that.
Yeah. Why real estate? Like like where did you get like the motivation or drive to say like I want to invest in real estate?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think I just realized the market was crashing, reading articles and seeing what you could get, and had a real estate friend that was telling me about all these foreclosures and how cheap you can get these houses at auctions and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
light bulb just kind of went off. I thought, well, real estate's always been a good investment, a good
Yeah.
asset. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of ran
Works.
with it.
Okay.
Got my whole family involved and everybody.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you like about the real estate? Investing in real estate.
Multiple things. One, it's a cushion. You know that you have an investment. You know that it's over time it's going to build wealth. It might
Yeah.
drop, whatever, but it's just like the stock market drops, goes up, drops, goes up.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can hang on to it
You
long
can hang
term.
on to it long term, you're good to go. And
Yeah.
that was always my plan to pretty much just keep as much as I can, get that residual income coming in every month on rent and pass it down for generations, really.
So do you think so like investing in real estate, do you think that led you to like having the knowledge or whatever to kind of start this brewery and buy the property too instead of, lease out?
Yeah, it definitely got me in an entrepreneur mindset
Yeah.
because I'd buy these houses and they needed a lot of work. Well, I just hired up some of my buddies and we legit did all the work ourselves. So it taught me how to run crews and how to run a team and really pinch pennies and make money instead of
Mhm.
just wasting it and paying other people and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep, to be aware of kind of all those different
Mhm.
pieces that go into that. Um so let's jump back into like the brewery and talk about like the idea behind that and kind of where this, you know, what was your thought there of like building Divine? And like where does the name come from too? That's an interesting name.
So divine,
Yeah.
hops grow on a vine,
Okay.
grapes grow on a vine. So instead of divine, divine. It's
Divine.
just like a play on words. Yeah,
Nice.
just of the
Okay.
vine, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as we're doing research, we realized the word vine meant like gatekeeper of the underworld in some
Okay.
Arcadian language or some craziness, and
Yeah.
that's where like this halo and devil's tail came from, you know,
Okay.
on our logo.
Yeah, yeah.
But uh, yeah, so that's where divine came from,
Yeah.
the
So
name of it.
so what about the concept of the brewery, right? Because there's, you know, there's in our area, like Dunedin was a popular spot where like this is where all the breweries were. Palm Harbor's got a few of them now. You know, Tampa's got a bunch, but you know, each one is unique in their own way, has their unique style, unique flavor of beers and that sort of stuff. Like where did your, you know, what was your idea there?
Try and stay ahead of the curve,
Okay.
you know, like beer styles and things like that.
Okay.
When we first opened, we were very overstaffed, underknowledged, and we just tried to get by the best that we could. And then we ended up finding new people, hire new people that actually knew what they were doing and stuff like that, and really took us to the next level. Um,
As far as
sour,
like creating the beers.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
creating the beers, technique. You know, I mean, everything's brewing is you know, you're hanging out, you're drinking, you're making beer. It's fun. We're cleaning 85% of the time, and you're brewing 15. So it's not like a glorious job by any means.
Yeah.
For me, it is. I'm quality control, so I just get to
Yeah.
hang out and drink it. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
Somebody else is cleaning it.
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody else is doing it. But you know, taking pride in, you know, changing our water profiles, you know, is like a big one. To, like a lot of people have bad water.
Yeah.
So we got the RO system, and now we mock water profiles, whatever style beer it is. So if it's a Mexican lager, we find out where like our favorite Mexican beer is, find out what their water profile is, and mimic that water profile.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
German beer, yeah. So it's like, well, your main ingredient in beer is water,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that's where you start off with, and that's one of the things that we really take pride in. And
Yeah. So when I so that reminds me of we went to Ireland a couple years ago and went to the Guinness factory, right? And
oh man,
they
yeah,
take you on this tour or whatever. And one of the things they talk about is like the water from what the river or whatever it is right there, right? And like that being like one of the big, you know, differences in their in the beer and that's made in Guinness versus or the made that's made in Ireland versus maybe the beer the Guinness beer that you get in the United States, right? Like maybe
oh
there's a
yeah,
little bit different flavor. Um and yeah, it's crazy how important the water is to the flavor of it.
oh it is. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever we did the RO system, I mean, our beers completely changed. I mean, cleaner, crisper. There's no aftertaste. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just like a very clean, crisp beer.
And so you can change the water like what's the profile of the water that you're changing? Like what are you changing in the water that
Well, we have an RO system. We strip everything out of it. So then we got to add,
okay.
well, I mean, calcium. I mean, just a whole bunch, whatever is then salts or just depending on
Crazy.
what that water profile is. Yeah. And you get bags of gypsum, you're dumping it in the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Yeah. So you're like making water
Mm,
and then you're making beer.
correct.
That's
Yeah.
that's cool.
It is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did that idea come from? Like the idea to is that just like trying to be different? You know, trying to think ahead of the curve, like you said?
Well, yeah, we hired a consultant to come in and work with us brewing wise, and the dude was very knowledgeable, and he pretty much told us like if you want to get to the next level, you
Mm,
have to strip your water and start from scratch,
okay.
and it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So you notice the difference in the
Oh
flavor
yeah.
and yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. It's wild.
What are your some of your favorite beers?
Styles,
Yeah.
sours for sure.
Sours.
Yeah, I love sours. A good kettle sour is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the wild yeast strains. Um, Bacteria strains 'cause they get, like, real funky and skunky and stuff like that, which I don't like. I
Mm-hmm.
just like a good salty sour, kettle sour.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then all of our lagers. I'm
Yeah.
really big into lagers now, our light lagers and amber lagers
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. One of my favorite is the Pilsner that you guys have.
Yeah, it's beer's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Um, so like growing up in your were you around like any entrepreneurs or like where did that kind of mindset come from? Because I don't think everybody has that.
No, not necessarily. I mean, My dad was in the military and was a welder. My mom went to
Yeah.
college and was a school teacher. But they were always driven, and taught
Yeah,
you
yeah.
how to manage money and things like that.
Yep.
Um, no, just kind of fell into it, I guess.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges as to being an entrepreneur that you've had to face?
A lot. A lot.
It's
I
like
mean,
every day.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, little thing. I mean, I learn every day.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think one of my biggest problems that I had early on was having such a closed mindset or tunnel vision, I guess you
Mm,
could say, not taking advice from the outside and thinking I always knew best because I ended up
yeah.
failing on multiple things because of that. And then once I
Yeah.
realized, oh, this guy probably knows more than I do about this. Why don't I listen to what he has to say? Or this guy
Yeah.
knows more about this. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably one of my biggest.
That's hard to do sometimes too. And even though like you may have it kind of figured out right now, like you get to the next phase or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah,
it's still like a constant learning
always.
process,
And then
right?
taxes,
Yeah.
not knowing the whole game of taxes was one of my biggest things too.
Hmm.
Overpaying, not writing things off when I should have, and
Hmm.
stuff like that, which I'm pretty on top of now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just like that process of being an entrepreneur, right? Like starting out, like not having a background in it or anything like that, or um, not growing up in a household of entrepreneurship. You just have to go through and figure all that out yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but like I said, I kinda grew up with, some of my family members, we kinda did it together. My
Hmm.
brother, he went to medical school and then realized that he didn't necessarily wanna do that, and he opened up, a Verizon store up in Portage, Wisconsin.
Okay.
You know, um, my mom and I pretty much started doing the real estate thing at the same exact time, which, they had more money than I did, so they obviously made money faster than me,
Hmm.
but, we
Hmm.
all kind of fell into it, right around the same time, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
So, yeah, it was cool.
yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, it is fun to like have the family involved,
Yeah.
and you're kind of sharing insights and like, oh, I learned this, I didn't learn that, or I failed at this, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, very cool. Um, so what do you like? I'll share like my perspective on the Bine, but I want to hear like what you think. Each like I said before, like each brewery is different. You know, one of the things I like about the Bine, like when I first started going to breweries, they were we had some friends that lived up in North Carolina and up in the mountains in like Asheville area, and so like it was it was just like basic like warehouse, stripped down. They built a bar in this warehouse, concrete floors or whatever, and they're brewing beer in the back and that sort of stuff. So very simple, but just good beer, just good conversations, good people, that sort of stuff. So that's what I like about your place too, because it reminds me of that, where it's like you have the concrete floors and concrete bar and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you can see into the to the back room where you guys are making beer and that sort of stuff. But what do you and obviously the good beer, right? Like you got to make good beer or
Yeah.
people aren't coming back. Um, but from your perspective, like, what do you think separates you from other brewers in the area?
I would say our team.
Mm,
I mean, the people that actually work there on a day-to-day basis and deal with the regulars, deal with the customers, and, the people on the front lines, really.
mhm.
We, um we have a different atmosphere and environment than a lot of breweries do. Like, they're not allowed to drink when they're working behind the bar or in the back brewing, to
Mhm.
where you go to a lot of breweries, the bartender's having a beer with you, which is to each their own. I don't
Yeah, yeah.
mind it.
Right.
But we have a little higher standards, and our atmosphere is a little bit different than a lot of people's.
Yep.
Run a tight ship. I'm not saying other breweries don't run a tight ship, but cleanliness, consistency is my biggest thing. So, be clean, be consistent at what you do, be knowledgeable,
Mhm.
and don't get drunk behind the bar.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that could lead to some troubling
Well, you got
situations.
money, you know what I mean, that you're
Yeah,
dealing with constantly, and if you're dealing with other drunk humans, who knows what happens, and
sure.
so they can get out of hand fast. And then just the vibe, like I said, like the team that's there, and then we have the music, we have the comedy, and
Yeah,
we keep that on the regular and stuff, so people know what to expect out of us. So I think we've
yeah.
kinda
Yeah, that's cool too. So you guys do, like, comedy night?
yeah.
Is that every Wednesday?
Yeah, every Wednesday and then the second Saturday of every month, and
Okay.
I mean, it's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. You can't just walk in off the street and say, "Hey, I wanna get up on stage,"
Okay, okay,
You have to sign up through Matt Fernandez, who's one of the, big up and coming comics in Florida, and
okay.
he kinda picks and chooses who's allowed to go on and stuff like that, so
Yeah,
it is cool.
that's cool. Where did that idea come from?
I honestly don't know because I mean, we've had comedy almost since we opened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and, before there was a guy named JB Ball that was running it, and he moved on to LA, and he's writing for MTV and Comedy Central, like, he's making it out there, but originally he was doing it,
Okay.
and I don't know, I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
how we got connected or whatever, then he left and Matt took over, and, Matt's been doing a great job with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man, it's fun. You wouldn't think,
Right,
you
like
know
at
what
a
I mean? Yeah,
brewery.
at a
Yeah.
brewery comedy, but now it's a big thing, a lot of people are doing it, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun. I think the entertainment piece is, you know, I think for our area, it's becoming more and more of a thing, right? Because you have to just find another way to keep people there,
Mhm.
right? Maybe that's a big piece of that.
Yeah, and I noticed we're not Dunedin when it comes to music. Dunedin, this music scene is huge. You go to the breweries down there and, some of the clubs down there, and their live music is just
Yeah.
wild. It's
Yeah, yeah.
packed.
Yeah.
Palm Harbor's a little bit of a different crowd when it comes to the music, so that's why we kinda toned back on the music a little bit,
Mhm.
done a little bit more comedy because that seems
Mhm.
to what Palm Harbor people
Is so the comedy nights are like more are busier than the music nights?
and it's cheaper for me.
Oh, yeah.
Music is so expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so expensive, to where comedy, these guys, they still have full-time jobs. They're just doing this on the side to try and make it or, whatever the case is, so they don't
Oh,
demand
yeah.
as much money as a musician who that's what they do.
Right, right, right.
That's how they make their living.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do better, money-wise on those
Nice.
nights. Yeah.
Comedy. Who would have thought, you know?
I mean, I like to laugh,
Yeah, of
I think it's
course.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you there, like, every time there's a comic there, or you try to
No,
be?
I
Yeah.
try to be.
Yeah.
The nights that I don't have my daughter, when I can get away, I do go up there.
Yeah.
But the most like this Saturday show that's coming up this month, it's gonna be awesome. John Jacobs is doing it. He's actually moving, I think, to Europe or something, but he's been on MTV and done a bunch of stuff. So he's doing like
Okay.
his farewell show this month at Divine. So I will definitely be there for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
That's
hilarious.
the end of this month?
It'll be the second Saturday, so next weekend. Not
Okay.
this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Um, so what about the your future plans for Divine? Do you ever want to open up a second location?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in talks right now with a buddy of mine who he's in the restaurant business. He owns a successful restaurant and bar, and he wants to kind of do like a restaurant concept, but me have put the brewery in.
Oh,
So
cool.
we're working on that, and I've wanted to buy some other spots because in the state of Florida, you can open up 6 more breweries under your one license. You don't have to
Okay.
keep on applying for different licenses, which is
And
saves a lot of money
I
and
was gonna
time.
say, yeah, money wise, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife's not a big fan.
Of the brewery?
No, no, of
Oh.
opening more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because this one is going on 7 years. We have a great team. A lot of things run themselves, but man, it's still a very stressful full-time job
Yeah.
dealing with it. So if I open up another one,
How do you split your time?
how do you split your time?
Yeah. So you're spending about 40 hours there or roughly at
I
Divine
would
right
say
now?
my wife does. I'm probably more of the 35 hours a week there.
Okay.
Zach, who's my head brewer operations manager, he's there, 45 hours a week, and he
Mhm.
pretty much runs the back of house, all the
Mhm.
scheduling for brewing, ingredients, inventory, distribution. Zach handles. I don't have to do any of that anymore. And then my wife does all the tap room and scheduling and
Okay.
office work. So I kind of go there and meet with everybody and make sure everybody's got what they
Taste
need
some
to do their
beer.
job,
Yeah.
taste some beer, and then I'm not a big micromanager.
Yeah.
I hire people that I think are capable of doing the job, and I just let them do their job.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, what was I just gonna ask you? It was oh, yeah, like, the process of, like is it hard what about distribution? That's what I was gonna ask you about, like, because not a lot of breweries are doing that.
Yeah.
Is that something you always wanted to get into or
Yeah, so, when Joey Redner sold Cigar City,
Yeah.
he was in such big distribution.
Yeah. It's in, like, every
That's how you get
Publix and all that.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, that dude, he blew craft beer out of the water in
Yeah.
Florida, but, that's you gotta get your case numbers up, you have to get your barrelage up if you wanna, sell it eventually, make money and all that kinda stuff, so I planned for distribution.
Okay.
That was, like, my main focus. I hired a guy that was a head of a distribution company in Central Florida. I hired him onto the Bine team to, get the distribution going for us, stuff like that. But it is so cutthroat in
Yeah.
distribution. Yeah, I mean, you have these bigger breweries that pay the distributor, incentives to sell their beer. So a guy
Uh,
like me, I get pushed to the back burner all the time. So it's
yeah.
it's a constant fight. It's a constant, you're fighting for tap handles, you're fighting for shelf space.
Yeah.
It's a pain, and you don't make a lot of money.
Right, on
You
distribution.
don't make any money in distribution really.
But
All
you
your
make
money's in the
it
tap
in
room.
okay. But you make money in distribution, like, when it comes to, like, volume-wise, like, if you're able to get it out there to a larger population, right?
Yeah, kegs you make some money on when they're going into
Okay.
restaurants and bars and stuff like that, but when you're
Mm.
doing packaging, I don't have my own canning line, so I still have an outside company come in and bring their canner and can it for me,
Okay, okay.
which pretty much takes up all my profits in canning.
Okay.
So, when Lucan's, ABC's, Total Wines, all those kind of places that we have, it's more of a marketing than anything, because I
Yeah.
don't make any money on those cans.
Okay.
But buying a canning line is gonna cost me like 210 grand,
Yeah.
and in order to push that much, liquid and cans, like, you have to then sales rep for $55,000 a year. You have to do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, like, so much more, so
It's a
much
whole 'nother
more.
commitment.
Yeah, so I'm kinda seeing, we're waiting for COVID to kinda see how the market happens and, where to
Mhm.
go from there, so
Mhm.
it's kinda what we're doing.
Yeah, it's
It's
interesting. I think, like, your, you know, path into, owning a brewery is probably different than most of, like, I started in my garage, I brewed beer, everyone liked it, and now I opened up a commercial brewery, right?
yeah.
You just like the entrepreneur, piece of it. You're like, let's open a brewery, make some
Yeah,
money.
that's exactly what it was,
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I hired the team that I thought I needed to make it successful. I
Yeah.
was gonna buy the property, do the renovations, and, let these guys run it, and that wasn't the case. I ended up, letting everybody go over the years
Mhm.
and ended up doing it myself, but yeah, it definitely wasn't, the craft beer story everybody loves to hear. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
For sure, but, I saw it as a moneymaker and I ran with it.
Yeah. But I think that's part of it though, right? Like you stuck with it, you learned from your mistakes and then persevered and pushed through to make it what it is today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, and I've changed my game plan multiple times with Divine.
Yeah.
It's like, this year this is working, following year that's not working anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you definitely have to be able to swallow your pride, admit what was working is no longer working, and change it and figure it out.
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a big part of being successful, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. So you grew up in Florida, as we were talking about before. How long have you been like in the Palm Harbor, Dunedin area?
I was born in Eastern Kentucky and moved to Ocala
Oh,
when I
okay.
was young.
Okay.
And then my parents divorced when I was 10, and my mom moved to Clearwater.
Okay.
So that's when I came down here. And I was here for a couple years. I ended up going to military school in Gainesville, Georgia
Oh, okay.
for the end of middle school and high school. And finished out in Ocala and down here and just kind of stayed with down here.
Mhm. Do you like it here? Do you see yourself like moving elsewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see myself moving elsewhere. We know we're looking for property right now in like, Eastern Tennessee and stuff like that. Cause I
Okay,
want to
okay.
buy the dirt now and eventually build on and retire, but
Yeah, I love
it's
that.
getting too crowded down here.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard, right? And my wife and I have those same conversations where it's like, it's cool because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
The different breweries and the downtown areas and that sort of stuff, the beaches obviously and the water and the parks. But it is nice to have space and land and all that kind of stuff
That's
too.
more my pace of life.
Yeah.
Having, several acres and a nice little house on it and,
Mhm.
have land produce, do whatever you want. That's kind of what I
Mhm.
want.
Mhm.
But I can't do anything for the next 10 years at least until my daughter's,
Yeah.
grown up and moved out,
Right.
So,
That's a big piece of it too.
yeah.
Um, so what do you when you're not at the brewery, what do you like doing?
I golf a lot, I fish a lot. I like cooking and, stuff like that. But mostly golf, fishing. I
Nice. I
do a
like
lot
it.
of that.
Yeah.
Pickleball. I started getting into pickleball,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
really fun.
Where do you play pickleball at?
Dunedin Community Center.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it. Yeah, I have Pretty boring life.
I like
I
it.
don't do
Well,
too much.
I mean, I think a lot of people would say golfing and fishing is not boring.
No, it's not, but I mean, it's just something I can go out and do, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, relax, and
Mhm.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah. What kind of fishing do you like to do?
I like bass fishing the most.
Oh, really?
I do. I grew up on bass
Okay.
fishing, so I do like bass fishing the most.
Okay.
But I love freshwater. I mean, saltwater
Yeah.
and shore fishing.
Inshore. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like snook and reds and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I like going to these random ponds
Yeah.
that are close to the intercoastal that are landlocked.
Oh, yeah.
There's huge snook and tarpon and all these, and all you gotta do is just drive your truck up to it, throw it in there, and you
Yeah.
catch these monster fish that people have no clue that they're
Yeah.
there.
And it's probably a lot easier to catch them there than it is
It
out in
is.
the intercoastal.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. So it's fun. Me and my daughter can do that. We'll jump in the truck and just
That's
go
cool.
fish random ponds and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I used to rent a condo in East Lake Woodlands, and same thing. I would go in there and just walk around and
Yeah.
fish those ponds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a pond in my backyard, which is great with nice bass in it too. So I can
Nice.
just walk right out my back porch.
Isn't that great?
Oh, it's great. I love it. It's Florida, man. I mean, there's fish everywhere.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome, Ben. Well, I appreciate you joining the podcast today. If anybody doesn't know where Bine Brewery is at, where can they find you?
993 Florida Avenue, right in the heart of downtown, right where they're building the roundabout.
Yeah. Drive down Alta 19, you will see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in downtown.
There you
Yeah.
go. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.